Today is a program that I've been looking forward to for several months. Today we have Steve Kiefer, who's Livermore's Community and Economic Developer Director. His department is responsible for development of the city's land use policies, design and development of the city's public infrastructure, protection of public health and safety as it relates to development, and promotion of economic development, affordable housing, and open space. Steve has been with us for 17 years. Prior to that, he was in Los Angeles area doing work down there. He has a bachelor's degree from St. Mary's and additional coursework in land use principles, real estate finance, and public-private partnerships. Welcome, Steve Kiefer.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the warm welcome, and I want to thank you all personally as a long-time resident of Livermore. I want to thank the Rotary Club for all of the great work that you guys do all the time, from some of your more recent projects like the Rotary Bandstand to the third grade dictionaries that you guys do every year. My children took advantage of that when they were going through grade school. It's been fantastic, and I know there's so many other projects that you guys work on that benefit this community and the greater community every day. I want to spend a few minutes today talking about some of the things that are on the books. Marty, in his introduction of me, talked about my responsibilities in a lot of this development. I want to make it clear that my responsibility is to implement the community's vision. And the community's vision is a vision that's created over a long period of time, over multiple councils. We have what's called the general plan in the city, just like every other community like this. So these are things that, again, the community establishes over a period of time, and the things that I'm going to show you today are the fruition of that long-term planning. I know Mark talked to you guys a couple of months ago about BART to Livermore in the downtown, so I'll just touch on that briefly because that's some of the new stuff that's occurring in town. Marty mentioned that we were going to talk about 3 or 4 months ago. I had to postpone because I actually had a hip replaced, so everything turned out great, and here we are. So we're going to talk about much more than just Gillig today. We're going to talk about everything that's going on in the city. So with the BART to Livermore project, Mark talked to you a little bit about that. There's a couple of other points that I just want to reiterate because I believe that they bear restating. Mark talked about a little bit about mega regions, particularly the Northern California mega region, and those are the big population bases in the north, not only in the Bay Area but in the Central Valley all the way up to Sacramento. So I think he showed you guys this thing. You know, we always talk about BART to Livermore, BART to Livermore. Really, this is all about BART to ACE and finishing the last little piece of this mega region transit system. So if you look at all of the rail that's already in place across the entire Bay Area, going all the way into the Central Valley, the diagram shows going north all the way to Sacramento, but it also goes south. You can see that there's a little tiny 10-mile piece that's missing right here. And that's the proposal, and that's really what the initial BART to Livermore, BART to Isabel phase will be. Phase 1, and then phase 2 will be to finish that connection to the Inland Empire or the Central Valley rail system. Along with that, the city is undergoing a plan area, or an Isabel neighborhood plan, and Mark talked a little bit about this. Just again, showing where that would be. So generally in this area, the proposed station would be in this area, just east of Isabel, with the neighborhood plan in this entire area. Here's the Shea Sage project, here's the established Shea project, and the college. Get your bearings in order with a number of other landmarks around there. One thing that is strikingly different with this neighborhood plan compared to, for example, when you drive through Pleasanton and Dublin, with the stations that are there, a lot of that development goes on for quite a while. It goes, on the north side in particular, it goes up the hill quite a bit. In Livermore, we have an urban growth boundary and we have scenic corridor provisions. So the plan in Livermore would be to much more tightly condense all of that development and maintain the open space, particularly on the north side of the freeway. I think Mark talked about the various options. The council has since directed staff to move forward with one of the options. It was option number 1. And this is what it looks like essentially. And right now we're refining some of those land use principles. And that will be coming back to the council later on, early summer. One of the things that the community was emphatic about, really wanted to make sure happens as the Isabel neighborhood plan is developed, is that it's a complete neighborhood. And I know Mark talked about that. Not only jobs and housing, but all of the other things that make a neighborhood complete. Open space and community facilities, retail and restaurant cafes, direct and well-lit pedestrian paths, and of course ample parking, not only for the BART station, but for the neighborhood itself. So a lot of the communities in the Tri-Valley, along with on the other side of the hill, became concerned that while BART was interested in extending the rail, the process in which they were undertaking, and mainly the delay and the time it was taking to move this thing forward, concerned a number of the communities, both on this side of the hill and the other side of the hill. As a result, the Altamont Regional Rail Working Group was formed, and the Altamont Regional Rail Working Group's goal is to ensure that regional rail planning in the Tri-Valley leads to project implementation that is fast, cost-effective, and responsive to community goals and objectives. And also I want to add, the fourth thing is to actually link the inland or the Central Valley rail system to the BART system. So they're actually having their second meeting this afternoon at 1:30, and I'm supposed to be there in 20 minutes, so we'll see if we can get there. They're having their second meeting. The working group consists of the mayors of Livermore, Dublin, Pleasanton, Tracy, Alameda County Supervisor Scott Haggerty, San Joaquin County Supervisor, and representatives from LAFTA, the San Joaquin Regional Rail, and BART. So I know Mark talked a little bit about the downtown RFPs. I'll touch on that a little bit just to get you a little excited. The date you want to write down is May 23rd. That's when the council will be considering the 2 finalists for the downtown development and essentially selecting what the mayor affectionately calls a dance partner. So then we'll move forward in completing the downtown specific plan, which has been in the works since the early 2000s. So the property consists of essentially 2 properties. The one is the large parking lot behind the Ale House, and the other is the parking lot and speedy loop that's on the east side of Livermore Avenue. The first step in all of this will be to relocate the train station. The train station will be relocated this summer. It's actually going to go back to the railroad tracks and become get this, a train station. So that'll happen this summer. We're looking forward to that. And then the next phase, of course, the first phase of construction of any of this will be to create a second parking structure to replace all of that surface parking that's currently there. Some of the concepts that the 2 finalists have put together, let me move, this is Blacksmith Square right here. Let's see if there's another one. Blacksmith Square, Uncle U's back here. Marketplace, both of the concepts have an open type marketplace similar to a mini ferry building, if you will, that will be in between here. So you'll have this linked retail that will go across this entire area. On the east side of the street, again, a couple of hotel concepts. This is one of them. This is Blacksmith Square right here. A lot of pedestrian paseos throughout. This is one of the concepts that shows a parking structure with a pedestrian paseo that's behind the ale house and all of the businesses that are on First Street. So all of those businesses and those properties on First Street would essentially have a front door and a back door, and our hope is that the back door becomes the second front door. Again, showing some of the pedestrian interaction, both concepts, lots of art, lots of visual art in both concepts. Mark talked about that a little bit. Let me just back up. Again, May 23rd is when the council is going to be considering this. Both of these proposals will be on the city's website a week from Friday, so 10 days in advance of that meeting. So I encourage you to go on the website. We'll make sure that we get something out to the Rotary Club when it goes on. There's a lot of stuff. All of these conceptual drawings are part of the package, along with narratives of both of the proposals. So I know Mark in his presentation talked about a lot about millennial living, young adults and what millennials are looking for, walkability, multiple transportation options, parks, restaurants, and other amenities which are within walking distance, and smaller housing types. And it turns out that us baby boomers are looking for the same thing as we get into our 60s, looking for the same type of stuff. Again, nothing unique to Livermore. This is something that we find in every community of this size. Just to give you a little feel here, these are the millennials. So the percentage of our population in 1980 was a little over 30% of our population was 18 to 34. In 2010, it's about 17%. So you can see that in Livermore, we're gentrifying, a lot of this is growing and this is shrinking, and one of those reasons is the housing stock that we're building and have been building over the last 20 years really doesn't serve this group the way they'd like to see them be served. A couple of other projects going on, residential projects, the Breeza neighborhood project, which is by the laboratory. Both laboratories have been very happy to see this project come off the ground. And then Shea Homes, or the Shea Sage project out by the college, is the other big project. Both of these are about 460, 475 units, mix of housing types. An aerial view of the Shea Sage project, and Shea Sage under construction. And this is the Breeza project. The homes that are there right now are detached single family, and in phase 2 and phase 3, phase 2 will have a series of townhomes right here, and then phase 3 right up against the BART station or close to the BART station will be rental units. So again, a variety of housing types. This is the project on the corner of First and Portola. This is off of Portola Avenue. And that's the Brighton neighborhood, which is closer to downtown, across the street from the Palisage project. A couple of other things. I apologize, I'm racing through some of this stuff, but I want to make sure we get everything in there. There has been a lot of comments, a lot of questions, a lot of question marks about the old PW site and bringing a new tenant into that area. The property changed hands about eight months ago, and the new property owners are in the process. They're going to be putting in a new grocery store and a new restaurant in the old PW site. They've just started construction on that. The restaurant's going to be Shalimar Restaurant. If any of you are familiar with them, they have a location in Dublin, San Francisco, and Fremont. This will be their 4th location. And then the grocery store will encompass or take up about half of the old PW market.
Is this in Springtown?
That's in Springtown on Vasco Road.
Okay.
Right. Vasco and Scenic, just north of Scenic. Avenue. Everybody's familiar with JoJo's, or JoJo's, that's a bar that I used to frequent in Long Beach. Trader Joe's in here in the shopping center, and there's a large home furnishing store that's next to it. The furnishing store is going to get a lot smaller and move a little bit over to the further away from Trader Joe's, and the area between Trader Joe's and the furniture store will be a new Michael's Craft store. So they just started their tenant improvements, so they should be opening sometime later in the summer. Some of the other developments, to get your bearings here, this is 580, this is looking north, El Charro. Here is the San Francisco Premium Outlets. This is the border between Pleasanton and Livermore. Everything to the east is Livermore. Pleasanton has a new auto mall that's under construction. I think they have 2 tenants in there already. They're also building a new little shopping center on the southwest corner of Stone Ridge Drive and El Charro, which will be anchored by an Asian grocery store. This project right here, multiple stores and restaurant pads, doesn't look anything it's actually, this is the building right here, and these are restaurant pads. They're expected to break ground in early fall of this year. And so again, they're going to have a number of retail stores and at least 3 or 4 restaurant pads. In addition to that, the area between the Premium Outlets and the driving range just closed escrow about 15 days ago. Republic Development, a large national development company, purchased it, and they're looking to put in restaurant pads, retail. They're looking for a couple of anchor tenants right now. This is one of their marketing tools, so they have a number of different options listed here: restaurant, retail, small shop retail, and they've even listed a couple of hotels and a car dealership. All of those uses are allowable uses out there, so that's how they market this. They don't have any tenants inked yet, but they're marketing for all of that. We expect that that will probably go through the entitlement process later on this year and break ground in 2017. Gillig. All right. So again, so everyone has an understanding of where we are. This is Jack London. This is Isabel. The water treatment plant is here, and the airport is to the north of that. So this 160-acre site was developed in the early 2000s as part of a master plan known as the Oaks Business Park, about 160 acres. Immediately after it was completed, or shortly after it was completed, a couple of tenants moved in. LAFTA created their maintenance facility, and there's a small business called Cable Wholesale that's out here sitting in the middle of the business park. So those were the only tenants that were there. And then we had the downturn in the economy, and the thing sat fallow for a while. A new owner bought the 160 acres and put it on the market again, and very quickly thereafter sold a large chunk of the property to Gillig Bus. Gillig is going to take this area along with about either 5 or 10 acres on the west side of the street here for parking. They're under construction, and then the master developer, Trammell Crow, is constructing 3 spec buildings, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And you probably have read a little bit about one of the tenants that's probably going to go in there, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So, as you recall, when this was developed, this corner lot right here was purchased by Walmart. They wanted to do a superstore. Livermore created a big box ordinance that doesn't allow them to do a big box here. So Walmart's hanging on to this property. Trammell Crow and a number of other entities have offered to take that off of Walmart's hands. Walmart just sits on properties forever. They're pretty much the second largest property landholder in the United States, behind the Catholic Church, by the way. God bless. So Gillig Bus. Gillig has been in Hayward for 120, actually they've been in Hayward proper for about 85 years. They've been in existence for 125 years. They have always had the bulk of their business in Hayward. They're now moving their entire operation to Livermore. It's a family-owned business, not publicly traded. The family that owns the business, the Crown family, has been headquartered in the Chicago area forever. As they started to outgrow their property and their business in Hayward, the board of directors was very interested in seeing the company move to someplace other than California, because the cost of doing business in California was significantly higher than in many other places. And one of the places they were looking at closely was the Atlanta area. To the mayor's credit and to the CEO's credit, they recognized the advantages of maintaining the business in California, and particularly in the Bay Area. So with that, the CEO was successful in convincing the board to stay in the Bay Area and land in Livermore. So we're very fortunate to have this business coming in, about 850 employees. It's under construction right now. That was it. That was the project at the beginning of April. And that was the project about 2 weeks later, so it's coming along. They expect to move in and begin operations later on this year.
Steve, because I know the figures are confidential, would you compare and contrast their sales tax impact to Livermore vis-a-vis San Francisco premium outlets?
Yeah. So the city gets most of its income from both property tax and sales tax. About a third of our income comes from property tax, about a third from sales tax. Sales tax is, of course, much more volatile. The time when we recognize or we realize some of that sales tax that is collected by the county and the state is when you have retail sales that occur. This bus manufacturing facility, because their corporate offices are also located here, every bus that they sell in California is taxed. So we'll receive some sales tax for every bus that they sell to their customers in California. They have averaged over the past 5 or 6 years in the neighborhood of $200 to $250 million in annual sales in California. So to give you an idea, the outlet mall is about $325, $340 million in annual sales. The difference is that the outlet mall takes a lot of extra staffing and a lot of activity on the city's part, police officers in particular, because the outlet mall gets 7 million visitors a year. A facility like this, it's just like having a big giant car dealership in town. So it'll be a boon for the city, a great boon for the city. We never expected to have sales tax generating businesses coming out of this area, out of this business part, unless it was a pool generator like an Amazon or somebody like that. But in this case, Gillett will be tremendous in terms of not only sales tax, but also the added property tax value. So the other project, the 3 buildings that are going up that should be done within by the early summer, and one of the buildings along Isabel is nearly done right now, is part of the Trammell Crow project. They're built 3 buildings totaling 1.3 million square feet. This is what the landscaping will look like when you're driving down Isabel. You can see the berms. The berms will be landscaped, which will hide any truck traffic that occurs along those warehouses. And so as you're driving into the vineyards, as you're driving south down Isabel, this is what you'll see. Of those 3 buildings, you probably have read or heard in the news just within the last couple of days, Tesla is moving into at least 2 of those buildings. And while Tesla has confirmed that, Trammell Crow has not confirmed that. Trammell Crow has a very hard non-disclosure agreement with Tesla, so we're waiting to hear definitively if Tesla is moving in there, but the plan is that Tesla will be moving into at least 2 of the 3 buildings. very exciting news. No sales tax, by the way, but obviously the property tax. And as the Tri-Valley continues to grow and continues to be recognized as an innovation hub, certainly having one of the world leaders in innovation of every kind, not just car manufacturing, but innovation of every kind, having them have a major presence here in the Tri-Valley and in Livermore is going to be fantastic.
What are they going to do there?
Yeah, they're telling us that initially they will be providing warehousing or just-in-time delivery for their manufacturing facility in Fremont. And then we expect that as they move forward, as Trammell Crow was marketing these buildings, they were looking for minimum 10-year leases. So I don't know how long the buildings were leased for, but I would expect that they were leased for a minimum of 10 years. And then this is one of those three buildings, as you can see, nearly complete. So I wanted to share with you, I know at the beginning of the presentation I talked about the community developing a vision and then the staff implementing the vision. That's just a bunch of hooey. This is how development happens in Livermore and in every other city. Typically you have a mayor that looks off into the sunset and envisions something and starts to say, wow, this could be really great. Can you guys see it? And then usually the community and economic development director gets his Mona Lisa face and starts to think, I guess, Mayor, I mean, it might work that way. And then typically, and again, not unique to Livermore, the city manager goes, oh crap, what are they getting us into? And with that, that's what's happening in Livermore.
So what's happening with the old Growth Brothers property?
The old Growth Brothers property in downtown, privately held, not owned by the city, not owned by the old redevelopment agency. The property owner is actively marketing it. The downtown specific plan calls for retail and residential on that property. The property owner does have an interested developer that has an option on the property right now, and they're evaluating it for contaminated soils. So there is some contaminated soils on that property. The dealership went in there, as most of you know, a long, long time ago in the 30s. So they're evaluating the extent of that contaminated soil and who's going to pay for it. So if they can resolve that issue, we expect that they will start to move forward with some sort of entitlement process later this year, the first part of 2017.
Yes, my concern is about Jack London Boulevard, where it goes past that Gillig facility toward the San Francisco outlets. There's places where it narrows down to just one lane in each direction. It seems to me a real bottleneck.
Yeah, so if you can imagine Jack London Boulevard between the premium outlets and Isabel. So that was always designed, envisioned as 2 lanes in each direction, but built as 1 lane for now until that traffic grows to a point where the 2nd lane is necessary. One of the things that will happen right away, start this summer, as a result of this development, is right at the corner of Jack London and Isabel, it'll be widened so you'll have extra lanes right there. That work will be done this summer and should be done by August, September of this year.
With regard to the development of the parking lot at the intersection of Livermore and Railroad Avenue, will the buildings just to the south of that parking lot be altered or in fact affected in any way?
Livermore and Railroad to the south.
Yes.
So
That's just to the east of the theater. West of the theater, excuse me.
west of the theater. Yeah, that parking lot and that speedy loop will go away.
How about the buildings to the south of the parking lot? Will they be affected?
No, they won't be.
Thank you.
And in fact, the Coscroot, the pedestrian path that's proposed, that's already there, both of the proposals, the finalist proposals, include widening that pedestrian path and making it a much more vibrant area and including the Coscroot outdoor dining and having something similar on both sides. Thank you.